Hi, this is Trevor, and it's Saturday, June the 28th, 2014, and with it being Saturday, it's once again time for our Card of the Week challenge. We're working through the Rider-Waite Tarot deck, and I have set aside the cards that we've already covered. We're doing this totally at random, and I'm going to be getting into that in just a moment. Brief technical thing I want to mention, YouTube has recently allowed both Google Pages as well as Google Business Pages to have access to YouTube. So all of my videos are presently on the page for myself personally. That's Trevor Thorkelson, and the Trevor Psychic Intuitive page also will have a playlist of all of these videos. So I'll continue to add them for the sake of the subscribers to the Trevor Thorkelson page to that page, but you'll also be able to find those videos on the playlist section of Trevor Psychic Intuitive. However you found me. I also mentioned that those videos, as well as lots of information about my work, how to schedule appointments with me either in person or over Skype, that's all on my website at trevorsense.com. But enough of that. I'm eager to see what our card of the week is, and I always like to cut the cards. We have the Six of Wands. How interesting. And we covered the Six of Pentacles last week, so we're continuing with the what I've mentioned before about sixes. And last week I mentioned with the Six of Pentacles that sixes, when you look at all of the numbers together, they have something in common. And with sixes, I find it oftentimes has to do with the kind of regulation that's going on. Well, notice on the Six of Wands a couple of key things. We see these laurel wreaths, one that is on the figure's head, the other that is suspended on the staff or the wand. And those are usually a symbol of wisdom and attainment, kind of like you've earned your merit badges on a certain level. So this fellow has some victories already under his belt, and he's moving through a crowd. Now the other interesting thing is we see the horse, and oftentimes in the Rider-Waite imagery, the horses are a description of how energy is being consciously used, how we are questing, how the ride of life itself is kind of moving along. And we notice that the horse has a blanket or a cover over it. And the horse is held at close rein. It's being kind of restrained, so it's not charging ahead. Very similar, actually, to what we see in the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Wands has a horse that's like a little rodeo horse. It isn't broken in yet. But it's interesting that in the Six of Wands, there's that conscious moderation that's taking place. And as I mentioned before, all of the sixes, excuse me, I'm just going to adjust my camera slightly. All of the sixes have that feeling of moving through something and moving through it quite consciously. It's almost as if there's a pattern that left to its own devices would keep carrying through the same way. But there's a conscious effort that is moderating, or kind of saying, let's move through this, but move through it consciously. So it's sort of like redirecting the instincts. And as I mentioned before, conveniently last week, if you've been following along, there is an association with the sixes to the knights. It partly has to do with a system called the Kabbalah, amongst other things. So there's a number of systems that can tie into tarot, or that we can make associations to. And in the sixes, that kind of sense of what we think a knight would be doing, if they were a responsible knight, they would be kind of stepping into a situation, helping it along, right? But at the same time, it's not about dominating or totally restricting that force. So it's like saying, what can we be doing here that can be helping things to improve or to develop? Now, the word that's oftentimes associated with the Six of Wands is victory. You know, there's a sense this guy's already attained some things. He's got a laurel wreath here. It's like a victory parade moving through the court. We're moving through the town. And because he's assured of victory, he doesn't have to go charging ahead. He's not trampling on people. There's that sense of responsible movement that's going on. So it's usually a card that suggests that ventures are going well, and there's some foresight about how we want to be sustaining that. And when we look at wands as associated to work, this could be a business that is kind of pacing itself. You know, we want to see progress. But big word these days in a lot of areas of business is sustainability. Are we going about things in a way where this pattern can be maintained? Sometimes a short-range victory might cost us more in the long run. So there's that conscious sense of effort that is being directed. And there's a sense of enthusiasm, just as the crowd is cheering for this person. It's sharing in that victory. If we were to look at the cards in sequence, and that's another way of studying the cards, you look at the ace through 10. In the 7 of wands, the cards that follows this, there's a sense of attainment, but it's just for now. It's sort of like king of the castle. You're only the victor for a short time. And there's some big question marks about that sustainability. So this is about really some of those patterns that we can continue to work with, and if the pattern's serving you well, you want to be sustaining that. You want to be working with that. So that's just some random thoughts around the Six of Wands. All of these videos are really just some of the key points that I oftentimes pick up on with the cards in a reading. But a big part of what I do as an intuitive reader is paying attention to what I'm picking up from the person as well. And that's influential in terms of how I interpret the cards, and the interpretation of the cards works back in terms of that. So it's been a pleasure sharing with you about the Six of Wands, and this is a long weekend for a lot of people. Here in Canada, July the 1st, which is this coming Tuesday, is Canada Day. So that's our day of fireworks and celebration. I usually have Sundays and Mondays off, so I don't oftentimes get a long weekend. But with Tuesday being Canada Day, I get 3 days in a row. So I'm really looking forward to catching up with family. But my regular appointment schedule resumes on Wednesday. For more information about that and about how I work, as well as how to book an appointment, either with me in person or online over Skype, I encourage you to visit my website at trevorsense.com. With that said, I hope everyone has a great weekend. Enjoy your victories. Bye for now.